hey, level 1 plant-based enemy at the beginning of an RPG that gets one shot by the weakest fire magic and is worth 12 XP. Today is Weapon Day. Maxing Mavuika's signature and seeing if anyone else can use it. Spoiler alert, no, because when you give it to anyone else, the flame is gone. That's like 90% of the aesthetics of the weapon. That's crazy. But for those that care more about the raw numbers, that's what we're talking about today. First, of course, we'll start by maxing it. I'm not sure right now if there's going to be a lot to, oh no, the fangs. We just needed so many for Seat Lolly and we have none. Okay, that's gonna be a massive pain. Be back tomorrow. Seat Lolly's story quest. While farming for Seat Lolly's weapon, I did come across a few dudes. So, you know, we can get it up to the 2nd star at least. There's level 50. Let's just check here, see how far away we are. We can go ahead and get all of our massive 5 greens. Well, thanks, Sucrose. How we doing on elite enemy drops? We don't need the greens anymore. 2 on 48 Sucrose. Come on, well, we should be good, I think. Right? No? Resin mats, these actually are open today, so it doesn't really matter, but I think we have enough anyway. Yeah, easily good on resin mats. Let's go for the elites, picking up any fangs on our way. I know some of these guys are in super annoying places to get to, so we're probably gonna put Zealanin in our team. Got a nice bundle pack of 2 here. Did either of them drop purples? Did they like nerf the drop rate again? The last couple of times I was farming elites, it was actually really good. Come back here, I need your fangs. I think we'll actually just walk to the elites, not teleport, so we can get these guys materials. I guess that's how I should just play the game, but when I have a different goal, I completely ignore all enemies, which is why I always have issues like this. I know we could easily get enough things just today. They are abundant. Sadly, the adventure handbook only shows a fraction of them. Still no perp. Oh no, that wasn't an enemy, it was a trap story quest. These 2 enemies were actually very far away and I feel like we didn't even run into that many other enemies, so I'm not sure if that's a good strategy. And still no purples from either of them. This is crazy. Had the same bad luck with Seat Lolly's elites. Would you look at that, no purple. 2 more and nothing. Am I on world level 8? No, nothing. Nope, nope. Oh, there it is. We finally got our first purple. But yeah, we're definitely farming a lot more claws or fangs than we would have otherwise. It is also naturally taking a lot longer, but I think that was it for the elites. Yes, indeed. Let's see how close we are anyway. Can make 12 blues, keep the greens we need, and oh, we can make 11. Okay, I think we're good then. Very close. We only have 3 spare blues and nothing else. 8 more blue fangs. We'll grab the ones from the handbook, and if it's still not enough, we'll just spend a couple star glitter. Oh, then that little dude, look at how much he dropped. That's crazy. It's kind of morbid when you really think about it. Like I'm picking up the remnants from their corpse and it's like, oh man, this little baby dinosaur was loaded. Let's maybe not think about it. Yeah, when it starts showing me the sharks in the middle of the ocean, I guess I'm done. We did have some really good drops, so I would be surprised if we're not good. Again, quite close, but we're actually ready to completely max it now. Cool. 3rd star, 60, 4th star, 70, 5th star, 80, and the final star, there we go. Plus, of course, level 90. Ding. Taking a look at stats, as you can see, it's very leaned in favor towards base attack. I saw several people on Twitter respond to Genshin's initial post with crit rate 11% skull emoji. And yeah, that's just how the game works. When it has such insanely high base attack, the secondary stat suffers, and vice versa. For Mavuika, though, these stats are perfect. She already gets crit damage on Ascension, and she is a good holder of Codex, which already gives her 40% crit rate. In her current build, this 11% was actually perfect for me. She's now sitting at 101.5 crit rate. She's still not built super well. I'd really like to get crit damage to at least 200, and I think shuffling a couple things around will get there easily, but I'll save that for later. It's obviously good for Mavuika. To find out if it's good for anyone else, we need to take a look at the passive here. So after the equipping character uses skill or burst, crit damage and attack will be increased by 20 and 28%. Considering you would never give this weapon to a non-attack scaler, those are some pretty good buffs already. Where it already becomes a little more niche is that these buffs don't have a 100% uptime unless the wielder is also attacking with normal or charge attacks that deal elemental damage. I can already think of one character that could use the passive well. Sadly, the last part of the passive is only for Natlan characters. If they're in Night Soul state, the buffs get increased by 75%. Its duration will not count down when the equipping character is off field. After thinking about it, makes sense mainly for Mavuika. How at least I play her, and probably a lot of other people, is by entering the battle with her E. This will start the 6-second counter, and by the time I come back to her to do burst, I'd say that definitely falls in between 6 and 10 seconds. So the buff would have expired when I come back to do her burst, but it would still be on cooldown. So yeah, they just added that, I guess, for that specific Mavuika rotation. I think in most other cases though, this benefit being tied to only Natlan characters doesn't matter that much, but I'll keep it in mind while we're talking about the others that can use it well. First of all, I'd like to show what 75% increase on these buffs are. We'll just look at crit damage because it's simpler. 20 should go to 35. I want to make sure of it though. Yep, we jumped from 180 to 215, so we get 35 crit damage. But if we give it to someone like Gaming with almost 200 crit damage, just go ahead and press E right there, then yeah, he only gets 20% because he can't go in Night Soul state. But honestly, compared to most of my weapon videos, 20 crit damage and 28 attack is still pretty damn good, especially because, and I guess we're already getting into who else can use it well, but Gaming should be able to naturally increase the buff duration just by weaving in a normal attack each plunge, which I always did anyway. And since you basically have to pair Gaming with Binny, his normal attacks will be elemental damage. It would have been really cool if they included plunge attacks here just so you don't have to think about it, but I think he could still use it well. I still do want to make 100% sure that Binny infused, attacks still count for this passive. And for that, we got to figure out what kind of icons we got going on. Okay, yeah, that's pretty obvious right there. We have like some arrows shooting up there, which lasted for 6 seconds. Should go without saying, but Gaming is, yes, an attack scaler, so the base stats are fine for him. But also because he's a 4-star and has naturally lower base attack, the super high base attack on this weapon is particularly nice for him. Yeah, it's a little hard to see, honestly, but I'll have to probably look in my editing program. But no, like we still have the icons. We actually should be able to keep the buff indefinitely as long as we could keep Binny's burst up as well, like on next rotation, for example. I think he's the first character I'm gonna say it's actually good for. Like, look, 4-star has over 1,000 base attack. That's crazy. Also, its low crit doesn't really bother him because he's a good user of the Hunter set, 36 crit rate. And even without the flame, it doesn't look too bad on him. I do find myself talking about Gaming a lot when it comes to greatswords because I do think he is actually a very fantastic 4-star DPS. One of the best for sure. And I was pretty sad when we were talking about Kenich's signature that he can't really take advantage of the buff very well, which transitions pretty nice into talking about Kinich. I was really hoping it'd be good for him having the same exact main stats as his signature, and of course being a character that can be consistently in Night Soul state, these buffs being very nice for him. 35 crit damage, almost 50% attack. I'd say it easily rivals his own signature if he could extend the duration. In my C2 Kenich's case, his first shot is the strongest, so that's when it'd be the most important to have the buffs. But yeah, it's still a big shame he could only get the first and maybe second shot off before that 6 seconds is gone. Since the confusion with Mavuika and Kinich also not giving her 1.5 fighting spirit, I've accepted that his loop shots aren't normal attacks, except in the case of like coordinated attacks. I understand how it works, I just don't understand why they made it work like that. We'll go on good old Dorito boss and just start hitting him with normal attacks for a while here. They're gone already. Just for fun, I went ahead and compared them anyway because, again, my Kenich's first shot is by far the most powerful, and 35 crit damage, 49 attack seemed like a better buff than 60% elemental skill damage, and I think it would be perhaps in a different team with a lot more generic damage bonuses happening. So we did 3 runs versus Dorito here on Fang of the Mountain King, just using my good old classic Kinich team and no Mavuika here just to, keep the variables as low as possible. And on all 3 runs, his first shot did 445k damage, with the follow-up shots doing 240k. Switching over to 1,000 Blazing Suns actually did increase the damage of that first shot by 4k, and unfortunately the buff didn't even last long enough to get to the second shot, as that one did 217. Upon actually timing it, his second shot 100% has the buff. I figured the buff must have run out because 217 is a lot lower than 240, but the first shot was actually a little stronger than his signatures. I then did several more runs to make sure I wasn't doing something minutely different in the rotation, and it was always the same. 217 for the second shot. Immediately after firing the second shot, I went to the details page and he definitely had the buffs here. The only thing that might make sense to explain this is his A4 passive. In this team, we're only doing 1 Night Soul burst before Kenich's first shot, but that still increases the damage of the first shot by 320% of his attack. 1,000 Blazing Suns gives us 49% attack. And I guess because the scale spiker multiplier gets, significantly increased by his A4 passive, more attack would do more for the first shot, but not the second, which is why it was so much lower than just with his signature. That might be wrong, but that's my best guess. But I would still say if you don't have a signature, it's still a solid weapon for him. Here's all the greatsword users, and since Kinich is the only one from Natlan, all the others can only use 2/3 of the passive, which again, for attack scaling main DPSs is still pretty solid. I think it's gonna be best on units like Navia that can naturally infuse their own normal attacks into element bonus without the help from another teammate like Gaming. Also has very similar stats to Navia's signature Verdict. They chose to go with less base attack and more crit rate in her case because she's not a good holder of the high crit rate artifact set. Thanks to the weapon giving non-specific buffs like crit damage and attack, it can be used on pretty much any attack scaling greatsword user. I'm not sure it's necessary to go through all of them. Like Diluc I think could also be good because he also infuses his own attacks. Razor I guess as well. His burst is bonuses. They're not considered burst damage, probably. Doesn't say it specifically here, but this game got me messed up. But yeah, outside of Gaming and Kinich, I don't feel like it's worth going super in-depth on the rest that could use it. The flame dying out when you give it to not Mavuika kind of kills every possibility for me, so no, it's bad for everyone.